Well, joining us via Skype is Captain Aliyu Umar Babangida, retired, the CEO, Goldwater and Riverside Consult. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast.
Good morning.
Now, this is not the first time there has been cause for perhaps the sack of the service chiefs, if I may use that word. And now there are about 365 security officials have come out to say that they're no longer interested in working with the military and carrying out this fight against insurgency. I wonder what you make of recent development, and is asking the service chief to step aside the way to go?
Basically, the only permanent, what do we call it? Nothing is permanent. The only permanent thing is change itself. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Go ahead.
And change is the only permanent thing. Systems, institutions, even humans evolve. And where you have a situation where feedback, as it comes over the years, is not being heeded, then we begin to have a situation where you get to have what we call job monotony. Job monotony itself is not something that is exclusive to just the soldiers on ground. It spreads across board. When people do the same thing every day over a period of time, being social beings as human beings, you begin to see what we call ennui or job monotony. And then, as for the soldiers, you discover that for soldiers to willingly want to leave service is unheard of, is unprecedented. Then you begin to see that indeed something is not right about the system they're working with. What, however, we have observed is the president is seemingly aloof to this feedback. Whatever it is he has as reasons for choosing to retain his service chiefs, even when...
Are you saying, if I may interrupt your line of thoughts, are you saying the president is not aware of what is going on at the forefront of the battle?
Aloof.
When you say aloof, how do you mean?
Aware. What I'm saying is the feedback he's getting from the media and the soldiers is seemingly aloof. Aloof and aware sound two different words now, don't they? Basically, if you recall, sometime in February of 2015, Mr. President addressed a group of people at Chatham House in the United States. If we are to go and read that same address he gave and weigh in on what is happening in this country in the last 6 to 9 months, you begin to see what I want to call a somersault, an antithesis in the claims of a gentleman who claimed he was a reformed Democrat or something like that. It's not in line with the tenets of democracy not to heed the demands of the people. It's loud and clear. It's all over the country. Whatever it is the service chiefs have not managed well, it's not really my concern here. What I'm saying is they've played their part. They've done a good job. We have to move on.
All right, Captain Babangida, let me come in here. It's over 10 years now that we've been fighting this insurgency. Every Nigerian or anyone in the world agrees that fighting insurgency is not a conventional war. So you cannot give a time frame as to when this is going to end. But what do you think is the greatest missing link here when the Nigerian army and military is seen as the most gallant on the African continent, and they've not been able to master and get Boko Haram behind Nigerians for more than 10 years?
Basically, as I've said on different fora, the missing link is we are not results oriented. There is what you call a nil repercussion syndrome.
When you say we, Captain, are you referring to Nigerians or the military or the government?
But, yes. I'm talking about everything Nigeria. I'm sure you are not new to this phrase, nothing will happen. It is with us. We do not drive results. We do not measure performance. We do not time tasks. And we come and say insurgency is, what did you call it again? Is everlasting war or something? I disagree. I disagree. I absolutely disagree. I want to tell you something. The Northeast itself is man-driven. The insurgency itself is man-driven. Military operations are men-driven. Now we understand that insurgency itself could be formless. It's not like conventional warfare. But 11 years in the Middle East is enough to make us masters of that playground. That is not seemingly the case. And the reason is simple. It's in the leadership. You see, generals, as I always say, are like footballers. Right from the nursery, when you train cadets, you begin to see from their nuances.
All right.
Who will make it.
Okay.
Sorry?
If I may interrupt your line of thought because of a want of time, we have found ourselves where we are now. How do we move forward? Do we begin from the leadership? Where do we begin? Because some other persons have said perhaps because they are not having the required funding.
Funding, indeed. Last time I checked, some 4 trillion has been expended in Northeastern operations. What more funding do you want? Listen, results. I have said this, and this will be the umpteenth time I'm saying it. It's about results. We must chart a course. We must, after charting the course, measure what is required, and having measured what is required, we approve such resources and expect results. We must learn to cut our losses early. The present set of service chiefs were stabilizers. They've done a stabilizing job. When they came in, don't forget, we were all cheering them on. They were doing good jobs. They were gaining back our lost grounds. After that, what next? A stabilizer is not an assault pioneer. An assault pioneer is not a consolidator. Behavioral and what you call professional strengths also count on the battlefield, just like they do in football. A striker is not a midfielder, is not a defender. So depending on what you want to do, you must first and foremost fit the right personalities for the right phase of that war. And after that, you give them the resources they require and hold them to timelines and results. Not what Mr. President is doing. That's not the way forward.
Okay. I guess we have to change the strategy and the template of the structure there. We thank you so much, Captain Ali Umar Babangida, retired, for your time on the program.